Good morning.
Hello and good day. Hello.
How's everyone?
I'm good. How are you today?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I feel very like we haven't seen you in a long
It's been
time.
a couple days.
So
It's been a minute.
I am glad to be here
It's exciting to be back.
for sure.
I wasn't a vacation. Don't get me wrong. We weren't here because life.
Yeah. So good morning.
Hello.
And
Welcome to Warm and Cozy Quilting.
yes, and I'm Danielle.
Hi. I'm Jason.
And behind the camera today we have
Victoria.
Woo! So, yeah, that's what I know. The end.
Oh, that was a good story. All right,
Everybody's
guys.
here.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
We're here.
Oh. And just like that, we're done. Anyway, so welcome back. Saturday morning coffee. Today is going to be one of those days we're going to have a discussion about a thing. Actually, today is going to be, I think, a fun topic.
Yeah, I think so too.
So today we're going to discuss 10 of the most common quilting mistakes that people make.
Oh.
Now, you may be thinking to yourself, mistakes based on whose judgment call
Right.
and what's a mistake? Well, here's what happened. I was looking for inspiration. And sometimes for inspiration, I like to use my friend ChatGPT. Because AI, it doesn't know anything, but it knows everything.
Okay.
So I asked it questions, and it gave me these answers.
Do you know that not everyone is well-versed in all of those things that you just said?
So ChatGPT is an app that you can put on your phone, and it's AI, which means that you can ask it in the computer. There's nobody behind it. It's all computer, and it answers questions. And it can do all kinds of things for you. Advanced technology. Yes, Victoria.
It's artificial intelligence that uses algorithms and just patterns that it notices throughout the entire internet to answer your questions and create an answer based off of the prompt you put in the app.
It's pretty cool.
It's technology, guys. It's technology.
Pretty cool.
So I like to ask the computer, and it does things, and I like to find out how true those informational things are. So we're going to discuss those things today, and that's going to be fun.
Yes.
It'll be fun. You'll enjoy it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
You better have fun. Or else.
Anyway.
No or else here.
No or else. There's nowhere else here. That's fine. All right. So, as always, we have people that are saying hi.
Yes.
So let's say hi to some folks. If you're jumping on and you would like to say hi, just do so as well. By the way, we enjoy it.
Doesn't matter.
Also, while you're saying hi, do me a favor, hit that share button. We
Tell your friends about us.
enjoy the shares. It helps us, and it costs you nothing.
Right.
If you're on the YouTube side, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. When you do that, it helps us out. It costs you nothing, and honestly, later on, if you just get bored with us, you can unsubscribe. It's just that easy.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Anyway, absolutely. So we got people saying hi. We've got Pam. Good morning, Pam. Deborah, heading from I-95 to, oh, good Lord. You're on the, I hope you're not driving. You think she's the one driving?
No, she's not driving.
Smarter than that.
Right, she's not driving.
And
I just really do not like Atlanta.
That's a lot of lanes.
No, I just don't like the traffic in Atlanta.
It's a lot.
It's confusing. Anyway, safe
They'll
travels.
run you down.
Safe travel.
Be careful there. Saturday mornings aren't usually terrible.
Yeah, I mean this early should be. Oh, but it's later there, right? Like
it's
10:30?
an hour ahead.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
It'll be fine.
Yeah,
it's not Tuesday morning.
And I'm
rush
not
hour,
driving, so it's all
and you're
good.
not driving.
It's all good.
They've got it. Just be safe out there 2.0. Good morning, Dolores, Southern Illinois.
Good
Welcome
morning.
back. Jan, hanging out. Boise, Idaho.
Oh,
Wow.
very cool.
Out towards the West Coast. Love that. That's good to
Nice.
see you as well. Thanks for joining us.
So she had to get up earlier.
Oh, yeah, because they're like a 2 hour behind out there? Maybe
don't know.
one. I don't know which time zone that's in.
Regardless.
Good
it's
morning.
Earlier.
Good morning, Karen. Good to see you on.
Good morning.
Hello, Shelly.
Morning.
How you doing today? Good morning, Sandy. Hello. And good morning, Julie. And whoever's behind the scenes. Yes, thank you. See, yes, she called you out, Victoria.
Oh,
Thank you. Appreciate you. Good morning, Dorothy. Glad you jumped on, too. And again, say hi as we go through all this.
Yeah.
We don't mind.
It's all good.
We're informal here, as my collared shirt tells you. Informal. If I was wearing a tie, it would be very formal, and then we'd be professional.
That would be different.
That's not this. This is coffee. Right here.
I don't know.
And I make up the rules as I go along. That's just how this works. Also, one more thing I'm going to throw out to you guys, because I need your help with something. And not just me. Anybody you watch in live videos any given time. Please remember that we're sitting in a small room, staring at a little black box, trying to make your days brighter.
Right.
Because we think we're funny, and sometimes we are. But sometimes we don't always get the feedback because you guys are so enthralled in the information.
Right,
So
so you're just watching.
I'm going to ask that you use those little reaction buttons at the bottom of your screen, the likes, the loves, the hearts, all that. That just gives us some feedback, and it helps us to stay a little bit more.
Okay, someone
you.
is actually watching.
Right.
It's still worth continuing on.
So we do exactly like that nice little heart there.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. See, that's easy, and it's fun to watch them kind of float up the screen anyway. Let's be honest here. So good morning, Diane. Glad to see you on. Hello, Pam in Alabama, and Joanne Wonder. Good morning. Hello again, Southern Illinois.
Good morning, good morning.
And we do make it. Well, that's great. Thank you.
Also, we have somebody over on YouTube.
Do we? Oh, hey, Kim. Hello from
Hi.
Pennsylvania. Glad you made it on.
Cool.
Hopefully we have some good information. Very small. Yeah, Julie's seen our studio. It's
Yes.
I wouldn't want to live in here all the time.
No, it's fun though when you stop by the shop. And if you haven't been here before, we'll take you on a tour, and it's always like the reaction that people get. They're like, "Oh, I thought it was like
working here. Oh,
I thought it was bigger.
It should be like 85 feet long. No,
it's fine.
no,
It's all good.
big.
It works out for what we need it for. But it is small.
it's like a broom closet.
It is not a broom closet.
We keep Sadie in the broom closet. It's unfortunate for her.
gosh.
Sorry, Sadie. Anyway. All right, so we don't have a ton of announcements before we get into our conversation today. Let's see here. Biggest, most important one. Next Saturday. Do you know what next Saturday is?
No.
Next Saturday is the 27th of April.
Oh, I
It is
forgot.
the
April.
last Saturday of April.
Yes.
And what do we do on our last Saturdays?
We do show and tell.
Show and tell. Mystery
And
quilt.
also mystery quilt.
International, or not, well, it's North American Mystery Quilt this year. So, next Saturday at 9:15, we open the doors. Bring whatever you're working on to show off.
Yeah.
There's nothing more fun than to be able to show off your stuff to a bunch of people that actually know what quilting is and can enjoy and appreciate what you're working on. You guys need to bring those things in, show them off in person. For those of you that don't live locally, you'll be able to, watch us here on the video because we'll lock the doors again at 9:28 just before we go live. And then, we have to show off everybody's projects. I tell you what, it's fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something
No,
else after
I'm
that.
just,
I
I'm
thought it was
really
your follow-up
sad
statement. Why?
because I won't be able to watch it.
You will.
I won't be able
Here's
to
what-
be involved.
I've made a plan.
It makes
I've
me
made a plan.
so upset.
I have a plan.
Okay. It's not
So-
that, it doesn't make me that
She
upset.
has a stripology class that starts at 10 o'clock.
Right.
So the people that are in the stripology class are going to be like, we have to leave the show and tell? Yes. You got to get started. But I'm thinking we're going to just go right into show and tell. So that way we have at least 30 minutes of at least some of your projects you'll get to see.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
And then
right?
so can I be on camera?
Yeah.
And then I can go, okay, bye.
Yeah, you don't have to run away. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So it'll be fine. So make sure you're all here next week.
Oh, and yeah, it's going to be weird too because we can't really lock the door. Because I'm going to have people coming to set up for class.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. That'll be fine.
It's all good.
I've got plans,
How
guys.
did we? I don't know how things end up on the same day,
Because there's only so many days in a month.
and Victoria won't be here that
It'll be
day.
It's okay.
Sadie will be here.
It's okay. We got this.
Anyway.
Let's see. We've got here. Jane Q said, good morning. Hello. She's making sourdough English muffins.
Yes.
That sounds amazing.
Dana, you can show off an embroidery project instead of a quilt.
Yes. Yeah, whatever.
Absolutely.
I don't care what you work. Are you working on a set of chainmail? Bring it in. I'm not even kidding. I don't care. It's show and tell. It's
I
a creative
was
space
thinking
here,
of
guys.
like writing a letter mail.
Oh.
And it was
Here's
a
a
chain letter.
from the Prince of Get out of here. I'm the Ethiopian prince. My daughter's in trouble. No.
Don't bring
Not
your
that
mail.
chain mail. That's a chain letter. You have a suit of armor you're working on
Yes.
because you
can bring
you
it in.
smith and you quilt.
Right?
Could
Maybe
happen.
you do. I don't know.
Bring it in. That's totally fine. You're working on rope baskets. You're working
Handwork.
on any sort of bag.
Right.
I mean, people
All
do
the
all
things.
sorts of things.
Yep.
Bring it in. Show it off. That's fine. Maybe
And
you'll inspire somebody
Come
else
here
to do
and
something.
watch and see it.
It's more fun
as
in
well.
person.
Okay.
All right, that was a lot. So I'm excited about that one. An embroidered cork wallet. Yes, Dana. Yes.
Bring it.
I look forward to seeing it. That she probably did on her brand new M17.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, fun. Speaking of M17s, I do have a couple demo models left from our show we did a couple weeks ago. If you are looking to get into the top of the line game when it comes to embroidery and sewing machine, the M17 is it.
Yeah.
I have a couple that you can go home with one today. I have some great pricing on it, but I can't say much more than that.
Yep.
Because they're doing they got a cool sale going on this month, so come see me.
Yep.
Do that today. And also, if you've been considering a handy quilter, do know that this month, not only are they doing free shipping when you purchase a machine, you're also getting a free accessory with your machine purchase. Either a highlight, a secret drawer, or electromagnetic channel locks. If you don't know what those are,
We'll tell you about them.
come in and talk to me.
Also, if you buy a machine and a Pro Stitcher, that's 2, so you get 2 freebies.
You get to pick 2 of those.
Plus the free shipping. It is a deal.
It's an amazing deal. So absolutely worth coming in and checking us out, seeing what we got. And again, price-wise, you can't beat me.
Exactly.
You can't, because I'm the best. High five. Go me. Good morning, Patty. Good to see you on. Hello, Roger. Nice to meet you.
Good morning.
I
Good
think-
morning.
I don't know that. Maybe it is Roger. Go, Roger.
Hmm?
I think I met somebody or talked to somebody that's last name was Medley, and I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's fine.
Great.
Just ignore me. Ignore me.
I'm trying, but
Oh,
you
okay.
are a lot. So
I am a lot today. Good morning, Vicki. Good to see you as well. All right. So that's all the real announcements I've got.
cool. So now we get into the meat.
Let's get
of
into
it.
the meat of this.
Let's do this.
Okay, so here we go.
Let's learn some quilty stuff.
So, like I was telling you at the beginning of this, I used the internet to find out what the 10 most common mistakes are in the quilting businessy world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The hope of this is for us to discuss what the internet thinks is the most common.
Right.
And if it is something that you typically do, perhaps we can have something that may help you improve your quilty game.
Right.
Right? All right. So first off, scroll over here because my screen is funny. So the first thing it told us, as far as most common mistakes, is not measuring accurately. So ensure precise measurements when cutting fabric and piecing blocks to avoid misalignment. I would say it's pretty accurate. Measure once, curse twice. Let that sink in. Don't be that person. Measure twice, cut once.
Did you curse? Victoria, were you cursing?
She better not have been, not in that sewing room.
I'm standing next to Mom, so I refrained from.
So what is your opinion on that one? What do you think?
Okay, so read my shirt.
You are a stripologist.
Right.
Yes.
So what does that mean? I am
don't know.
all about accurate cutting, which means, and I want to do it fast. Here's the deal. We all want to get to the sewing part.
Absolutely.
And if I went around and asked the room, what part do you like the least? Someone's going to say, I hate cutting. Someone's going to say, I hate pressing. Someone's going to say, and
I don't like binding.
right. And everybody wants to get to the part of the sewing,
Yeah. just
right?
get
I want to, to me, I love to build the project, you
Yeah.
know, oh, here's the pattern. Let's go pick out fabric. Let's figure it all out.
Yeah.
Then I want to get to sewing it. Well, you have to cut it. You have to get it cut, and you
Have
want to
to.
do it fast.
Right.
So to me, what works best for me is stripology rulers, and they are the most, in my opinion, the most accurate, the quickest. I do think it takes a little bit of time to learn, because I have been finding now that I've been showing other people how to use them, that sometimes I'm like, oh, and you just do, and they're like, hold on,
Oh,
wait,
right.
step back.
You and have been doing this for
Right.
years mode.
Exactly.
And they're still
And they're like,
keeping up.
how in the world did you do that?
Right.
So there is always a learning curve when you learn a new tool, but accurate measuring, accurate cutting, so important.
Okay. So
And every time you move that ruler is another time you could make a mistake, right?
Correct.
You could measure incorrectly. So since we're talking more about measuring
More about it, yeah.
than cutting, right? But you move that ruler and you thought you were at the 6.5 and you cut at 6. You can't put that back on. You can't uncut, right? You can
Yeah.
always cut down, but you can't cut up.
So I saw a conversation earlier this week, because I do all the Facebook groups because it's fun to keep up with all the problems out there in the world.
Yeah, yeah. a lot of fun.
Conversation came up that I know we've talked about a few times,
Mhm.
as far as marks on the mat versus your measuring tape versus your plastic acrylic ruler.
Mhm.
Any one of those could all be completely different from the other.
Right. So being consistent, using your ruler always to measure instead of using your mat to measure. The lines on your mat are thicker than the lines on your ruler sometimes. I mean, you know, and
Depends
if
on
you,
what brand.
and if you think about it, if you are on one side or the other side of that line, That's 2 different measurements. It is by a thread, 2 threads. Like it's not that much of a difference. But if you are here, add 2 threads, add 2 threads, add 2 threads, now nothing fits together right.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So, and I think the example that this particular conversation is a individual had their cutting mat and they had laid their measuring tape across it. And by the time they got to like 44 inches, it was off by a solid inch.
Oh
like
my gosh.
The measuring tape was an inch shorter than the cutting mat, which is weird because usually the measuring tapes, they'll stretch and so they'll be longer. So whatever you use, be consistent.
Right.
If you're going to use your mat, consistently use your mat.
Right. And consistently use your mat in the same way. So if you're going to the inside of the line, then go to the inside of the line every time.
Yep.
And you'll be okay. It's also another thing, if we could just throw this in, this is a reason that we started Cozy Cuts.
Yes.
Because I was getting layer cakes or jelly rolls or any other pre-cut situation. I still love fat quarters because to me, a fat quarter is not cut perfectly. And it's not to a size that I'm going to use.
Right.
But when I get a 10-inch pack, I was going to use a 10-inch square.
Right.
When I get a fat quarter and it's 18 by sometimes 21 or 22, I wasn't going to use an 18 by 22 square.
Right.
I was getting that instead of buying yardage. So, I found that they were not accurate. Sometimes they're 9.5 instead of 10. That's a lot of difference, especially if they're pinking sheared and I want to square that up.
Yeah.
So we started doing our own cuts at 11 inches by width of fabric so you can cut your own 10s.
Easy enough. Dolores had a situation of inaccurately cutting. Cut at 6 and should have been 6.5. Yeah, that's frustrating.
Oh,
Always the worst.
Do I tell on myself that happened to me this week?
You're going to tell on yourself?
So I'm cutting out this quilt and there is a lot of different fabrics. And I'm going to do all the cutting first, which is not something I usually do.
Not usually.
I usually will cut enough to make a block. I'll try it all out. But anyway, and let's say fabric C was supposed to be 2 inches by 6.5. But fabric E, so now like 2 more away, was supposed to be 6.5 by 2.5. And I cut it 6. Just like this one up here.
Just like Dolores
did. I can't undo it. And I need a half a yard now of yellow fabric.
Dang it.
Anyway.
That's okay.
It happens. It's
All right. So, measure correctly. Do your best.
Yeah, but I am not going to try to take that piece and use it.
No, we're done.
Because there's some people will go, maybe we can stretch it.
Those are called scrappy people.
Yeah.
With that. Knock yourself out. All right, next thing that is the most common mistake by way of ChatGPT, skipping the pressing step. Pressing seams properly helps to achieve crisp, flat blocks and ensure accurate piecing.
Yep.
Yeah, you really don't want to press. It's not fun. Honestly, if it comes down to cutting or pressing, which one do I dislike the most? I think I dislike the pressing most.
Yeah.
The Laura Star makes it a little bit more tolerable because it's just done. Not...
Yeah.
Anyway.
So my sister, if she was here, she would tell on herself. She will do everything she can to not press. So she will go all the way around it, and now all of the blocks are done and have to be pressed, or you can't go on. And then she's done for the day. And then the problem is,
avoid it.
Then she's like, now I have to start the project by pressing, which is my least favorite thing.
That's no way to start a day. You end the day like that. Get it all together.
Get it all done.
Come back tomorrow once it's done.
Yeah.
What I found that helps that?
What did you find that helps that, Victoria?
A Laura Star iron.
For sure.
Back to the Laura Star,
I will tell you that it has changed my life.
It's not just brand advertisement, guys.
It has
a real
changed my
thing.
life. Like, everything goes faster.
But you do want to make sure you press your seams. It is super important. When you're trying to line things up, nesting your seams, if they're not pressed or pressed the right direction, it makes things so much tougher on us. And then we're more critical about that, how it didn't line up.
Yeah, and you'll point that out to everyone instead of looking at how beautiful the quilt is. You'll go, but look at this, where it didn't match up. Like, just leave that go. Leave it go.
So yeah, press your seams as much as you hate it. Either to a side or open, whatever.
Right, yeah, because that always becomes the next question. Well, a lot of times in patterns, there is pressing instructions. Press to this side, press to that side. And a lot of times, no. In the beginning, I would go, no, I'm not going to listen to you. I want to press it my way. I'm going to press all to the dark.
That happens.
And then I go to step 3, 4, and now they're supposed to nest together, and they didn't because I didn't follow their instructions. So it is good to understand why they're having you press that way or just follow the directions. Although sometimes I've had patterns where I'm like, see, this is why I shouldn't listen to you because now this is not what I want. Now I'm going back and pressing again.
Sometimes we call that willful. I'm just willfully going to ignore what you're telling me.
Well,
it's okay.
Yeah.
It happens. They're pattern writers. They don't know.
Right.
Joanne asks, press with spray starch?
Okay. So I do not press with starch. I starch all of my fabric ahead of time. So my fabric is starched before I cut anything. And that will make it nice and crisp. Then when you go to press, sometimes you do need a little bit of
like a lighter starch. So like a Best Press or flatter.
I love this kind that oh my gosh, it's right over there.
Your Magic Crafting Spray?
Yeah, Magic Crafting Spray. And it is fantastic.
Aha. That's a light starch then?
Yes, and you're going to give it tiny little spreads and press.
And that's from the same people that make the other faultless spray starch, so you know it's good stuff. So
they also make it in aerosol, which I love.
The aerosol is kind of fun too.
So that is, if you don't have a Laura Star, then you got to have something. If you've got these fabric starched, it's not going to want to go the way you want it to go.
Right.
So just a tiny little bit of, because you really don't want to stretch anything. So if you get it real wet and then you push the iron on it, now you're going to make that block not the right size.
Right. So yeah, again, pressing and ironing, you got to be mindful of those two and just all that stuff as well. So Pam likes pressing. She presses all of her clothes before she wears them. Boy, that's fancy.
Now that I have a Laura Star, I do.
Yeah, way more often. Good morning, Cherry Joe. And Joanne, that's what she uses. And she really likes that one. So those two gals in Southern Illinois. Represent.
I think we missed somebody up top here. Can you?
Did I?
Yeah, because I think we had Linda jump on. Yeah, hi, Linda.
Hello. Sorry. Okay. So that's pressing. You may not like it, but don't skip it.
Right.
Just press the fabric. It's fine. Right. This one was a little out of alignment, but I expect nothing less from technology. Not securing the quilt layers. So basting or pinning the layers together thoroughly prevents shifting and puckering during the quilting process. This is definitely not a wrong statement, but definitely I would put farther down the list of importance more chronologically. Because we were kind of talking about piecing and thing, and now it's telling us some.
So, but yeah, but if you're thinking about it, this probably is a more prominent issue.
Right, for sure, common. Like if you've never quilted before and somebody says, "Oh, just do that on your machine," and you just slap it together and go,
you could
shift
end up
happens.
And you could have a pucker.
I said shift. I should see her eyes. They go, whoop.
We'll see if Facebook got you for that one.
That's okay.
So,
yes, ma'am.
You need to secure them with pins, with some kind of basting spray. So some people have said, I don't like basting spray because that gums up the needle, it gums up, and then I get skip stitches. So there are fixes for these things. There is non-stick needles.
Right.
Sometimes you don't use I don't know, what is the spray, permanent spray that everyone has in their house?
Like 505.
It's got a number. Something.
Like 505.
Yeah, and you use this and you're like, that is going to be soup. That's not what you want. You want basting spray, not
it's
something
really a
permanent.
Personal preference. It's whatever you want to use, but you got to be mindful with the spray glues, how that reacts with your fabric.
Right.
Also, you're going to have to lay it all out on the floor, apply it appropriately, make sure you get it all flat ahead of time. Really, though, secure those layers.
Right.
Regardless of how you're going to quilt it.
Right.
Pin it, glue it, secure them.
If you're going to put it on a long arm, you don't do any of that.
None of that.
So that's really nice, but you then need to understand how that process works too. So
right.
We have had people bring us quilts already pin basted. They're like, we did this for you. And I'm like, we have to undo it. Okay. So, it's but you don't know what you don't know, right?
Absolutely.
And they come and they're like, I crawled all over the floor to make this happen. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Let's take it all apart now.
We enjoy not crawling over the floor.
Yes.
We use the frame for all of that. So, okay, so secure your quilts. Do the right thing. Secure them. Number 4 tells us.
Oh, I was going to talk about puckers, but you said shift, and everyone freaked out. Anyway, puckers can happen on the back, and you don't find out until later, and you're like, what is this? Yeah. That has been a conversation that I've seen online lately. Has been like, what do I do now? I've actually seen a few more of those recently, which I guess things kind of come in line. It's all good, but you got to be mindful of that puckering thing. Pam says, keep your pets out of the room. Yeah, I mean, they like to help. They are so helpful, but they lack the thumbs, and they're not really that helpful. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning, Diane. Sorry I missed you on that one. And Janice, I saw an angry face when I sent a like. Look, here's the thing, guys. So we get the angry faces all the time. But
not all the time.
Because of angry. Usually what it is because we're using those reacts across the bottom to get them. We look at them as a sunburn.
Yeah, we just
That's
pretend
at the worst.
if someone gives us an angry, they probably were just sunburned.
You're fine with the go with the look. Any reaction is a fine reaction. It just lets us know that you guys are out there. All I ask is that at the end of the day,
we got them coming back to back. It's totally fine.
When you get to the end of the video and we're signing off, just hit the like button one last time, and that will leave a like for the video in general. Otherwise, we're just getting all the reactions the whole time.
Yeah.
They're just very helpful the whole time. Thank you for. I've been seeing them float up. Thank you for the reactions. It does make life better.
Yeah.
And again, we'll deal with the angry faces. It's cool. I might ask you when you come in, why did you get mad at me?
Are you mad at me? Like, what's happening?
It's never that serious at all. Okay. So
I have a fear of that, though. I have a fear of putting the wrong emotion on something. Like someone like post that they're like something sad, and I go to say sad, and it's right next to the laughing one, and I'm like, don't hit the laughing one.
Terrifying.
I don't want to be laughing at this.
I have caught myself accidentally. I hit the button, and it went to like instead of like the heart carrying emoji.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was a really sad. I was like, "Oh God, no!"
You're like, I don't really like it. I don't like it. I mean, I care about you anyway.
It's that worst case fear coming to reality.
Yeah.
And you're like,
don't worry, we're all
unfriend me. It's fine. Anyway, so number 4.
We are. Yep.
Ready? Okay. Ignoring grain line. So this is what ChatGPT tells us. Pay attention to the grain line of fabric to prevent stretching or distortion. Okay, so this idea could be kind of like any various array of directions, I think. But this is my thoughts on this statement. Basically, what it comes down to, when you're cutting on the bias, you're doing half square triangles, things that are across the grain of fabric, be mindful of that. Stretching will occur.
So the biggest thing to know about this, about grain situation, because I like cross grain and straighter grain, both totally fine. It's the bias that's the problem, if you will. But okay, so when you have triangles, you're not going to tell me to not talk right now.
I was going to say, we probably should clarify what the grain conversation is, being aware that your fabrics run woven left and right, top and bottom, so that cutting this way or that way. Sorry.
That's okay.
I thought it was useful information before you go on with the triangles.
I mean, did you explain well enough? Do they know now?
I hope so.
Okay.
I don't have my graphic with me, so.
When you have a quilt that's on point.
Yes.
This is when we tend to, as long armors, see a problem.
Okay, why?
Okay, because you have setting triangles on the outside. If your pattern writer did a good job, the outside edge of that triangle is straight of grain. The inside is bias.
Okay.
So that way, on the outside of the project, it's not stretchy.
Oh, that's smart.
Most pattern writers are good about this. You'll see things like they'll tell you for the corner piece to cut a piece and then cross cut it twice. But for these others, to make a piece and only cut it once. And so they're thinking about where that triangle is going and how that's going to fit in there and how that's not going to be a problem.
Smart.
If you have put a quilt together on point and then you went to put a border on and it was giving you all kinds of trouble because this side was way longer than this side.
And we've had that happen.
It is because you have bias on the outside. So some of these triangles have stretched and some of them have not. So this is an important time to be concerned about that. I just would put my faith in the pattern writer.
I think
because if you start asking and trying to figure out which way, like you're going to confuse yourself more. Hopefully they've thought that through.
I think the other thing that could make that really helpful too is knowing that while you're piecing stuff together, if you're in the habit now of having to pull your fabric through, you're going to pull that fabric, whether you realize you're on bias or not. That's going to cause that stretch and that fullness to happen.
Right. So most of us have machines now that we don't have to pull things through, right? If you're having to pull your fabric through, you are definitely, distorting it. You could be stretching things. You could be, that's why sometimes the top and bottom won't line up exactly the way you wanted them to. Because really, when I make my half square triangles, I cut triangles first.
Right.
I don't make a square. I cut squares and then I cut them from diagonal to diagonal and then I sew them. I don't draw a line and try to go on either side. I have a 1/4 inch foot. I want to be able to see where that is. And my machine's going to evenly feed it through. So I'm not going to pull. So I'm not concerned with sewing on the bias. So when he first brought this up, I was like, oh my gosh, people get so worked up about sewing on the bias and I don't want to give them more reasons to be worried about sewing on the bias because people already do.
There's a concern.
You absolutely can. Like that's not a problem. So my half square triangles, I always oversize. I cut them, I sew them, and then I square them up. And so they're perfect every single time. So you do your way.
Right. It's fine.
Yeah.
Fine. Just be aware of it. Just know it's a thing.
Know that if you put stretchy on the outside of your quilt, when we go to lay it on the frame, it's not going to lay flat. And that causes us to hopefully not get a pucker in your quilt.
Just be mindful of it.
Yep.
Again, starch will help alleviate some of that.
Absolutely.
As long as you starched before you got to that point.
Okay. There's a quilt shop that will raise their
voice about angry faces.
Oh.
Look, Sherry Joe, we're not them. Look, if I get an angry face, I accept the fact I probably did something wrong.
Yeah.
So it's fine. I don't like to see them, but at the same time, I ain't gonna lose sleep over it. So again, keep with the reactions. We love them. They're great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And good morning, Jackie. Hello in Indiana. What's this? 2 weeks before Kentucky Derby.
Oh yeah, here we go.
I don't know anything about horse racing. Do you?
It just that my dad always watches it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
It is the first Saturday in May, and that's what I know.
Okay. Sounds fantastic. Love it.
I was just looking at you like, is there something that we have to be doing that day? Because Grandpa can't be there.
Right.
Victoria's graduating this year, so of course there is the last band concert, and the last choir, and and all of these things. Anyway, okay, sorry.
All right.
I digress.
So Dan, a good point. When you're working with that laser light, it really helps when you're working with keeping your lines directly, clean all that somehow.
Yep.
And Janice, good tips. Of course, that's what we're here
Thank
for.
you.
We're not done yet, though.
Yeah, we're only on like 4 of 10.
We're on number 5 now.
Number 5.
Number 5. They say the most common mistake is overestimating fabric requirements.
Boo! Don't believe it.
Calculate fabric needs accurately to avoid running out or having excess fabric.
Excess fabric?
Clearly, the computer is not a fabric collector.
Exactly.
It don't know what it's talking about.
Right. So let's talk about this because I am a fabric collector and I'm also a quilter. So these are 2 different hobbies.
2 completely separate hobbies.
We just got in Tula Pink's Roar, which is her latest collection. And I'm getting it to keep it. I'm not going to use it.
No. That's going to hang out and be pretty. That is a decorative item.
And some
purely for decoration.
Year down the road, I might go,
that'd be fun in this.
Oh, now we've got a new granddaughter.
Right. Somebody that needs some bright, colorful, pretty.
We need a pink dinosaur.
Right.
Guess what? I'm going to have it in my collection. And then I'll use it. But I'm not using it before then, and maybe I will never use it.
Maybe not.
And there are sometimes I buy for a particular pattern, and I don't like when they give me no extra. Okay.
Yeah, no, you need extra. Like there is, like Sandy just said, there is that chance of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have the extra just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I get where it's coming
I
from.
do, and I wish I was more of a scrappy quilter because I do have a lot of little pieces left
Right.
that I'm like, what do I do with this now?
Conserving where we need to.
And that's hard for me to just take them all and throw them in a quilt. It makes me a little nervous. I don't
Right.
do that so well. I'm trying to work on that. This is, I go to therapy. I'm
Right. Working through it.
I'm working through it. Okay. But right now, all the scraps of little pieces are just sitting in a bucket. That's,
Right. Yeah, and that's where they'll be for a while and eventually something. But again, overestimating, if you're concerned with, what kind of leftovers you're going to have and what I'm going to do with those, if that is genuinely concerning to you, be mindful of what you're buying. You don't need to buy 10 yards of all of it at any point in time. But
yeah, I mean, I have had a lot of people, they'll ask me, how much fabric do I need to put a border on this quilt? This is the size of the quilt. And I'll do the math and I'll say, okay, if you're going to do a 5-inch border and you're cutting 5.5, you need this much fabric.
Yep.
You really only need 5 cuts. If you want a 6th cut, just in case. I have done the math. I know that is accurate. But if you may want to get blah instead.
Exactly.
I never want to overspend your money. That is not like I am like this is how much you need.
Mm-hmm.
If it was me, I would get this much.
To have it.
And you make your own decisions,
Absolutely.
But I never buy, I'm going to add a border. I should add 3 yards, or I should get 3 yards.
No, that's silly.
Don't overestimate like that.
So let's see here. So Julie says that she's keeping her 210 for decorative purposes.
Yes.
High five,
I mean,
yes.
is it the most
Those are
beautiful?
gorgeous,
The
by the way.
boxes, every box is beautiful anyway.
Like Pam says, you can make a pillowcase or pocket prayers. And
Yep.
Sherry Jo's thinking about crumb quilting books. I mean, go for it. Knock yourself out. That's not for me.
I mean, it
But
looks really cool.
they're fun.
And there's
They need
also
looking.
things like you can do scrappy applique. This is the thing I've been looking into.
Really?
Okay. And
Sounds
so it's really kind of
interesting.
like collage,
Oh, okay.
but you make your fabric out of scraps.
Yeah.
And then you cut from that, your pieces, and it
Yeah.
could have 15
Kinda like an
different colors in
interfacing
it.
material. That
Yeah,
you kinda-
yeah.
That's kind of neat. I like
Yeah.
that idea. Okay. So, overestimating fabric requirements, whatever.
Yeah, I think
Get
that's
out of
silly.
here.
But I
Computers.
mean,
But number 6, we are not wanting to do this. This is a serious common problem. I'll tell you that right now. Number 6, rushing the quilting process. Take your time with quilting to maintain consistency and avoid mistakes. How many of you have made a quilt in an hour and a half? How many of you thought that was your best work ever? Not really.
no.
Not really. Not really.
It was kind of maybe okay. It was called done.
It was done.
Yep.
Somebody was getting that gift. Congratulations. And they're not professional quilters, so they'll never pick it apart.
Right.
And we'll hope they actually use it and not just hide it in the closet.
My favorite thing from this is that people who rush will go, it'll quilt out. Can I just say that nothing quilts out?
Nothing really quilts
Okay,
out.
nothing really quilts out. Now, sometimes I can make things a little more square than they were.
little
we can,
better,
we can
but-
do some, some things that make it, that help.
It helped.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I also joke about that because a lot of times everything looks worse when it hasn't been quilted yet.
Mhm.
Once it's quilted and done, you're like, look, I don't even see the mistake. I don't even see the
Right.
problem anymore. It's just fine. Like sometimes we're
That's
so
about as good as
hyper
quilting outfits.
focused on
Yeah.
things that we're like, but yes, but the people who are like, it's no big deal. Just quilt it out.
So
I just want
think,
to let you know that maybe it won't quilt out.
I think where that stems from is when you have that situation, you threw it together, you have a lot of fullness in it. You can kind of tell you do.
Yeah.
If you're going to quilt it on your domestic machine or hand quilt it, yeah, you can kind of work around that fullness.
Yeah.
You give it to a long armor, though, there's nowhere for that to hide.
Right.
So quilting that out
Mhm.
doesn't actually happen.
Yeah.
It's a lot of extra concern and working. So just be mindful of that. Don't get in a rush. Nothing about quilting is fast, generally speaking.
Mhm.
Not if you want a good quality finished product.
Right.
And as a new person, when I was new, I know I was throwing quilts together, just trying to because I want to have it done.
Mhm.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. I think some of us do this because the part of the process that they like is giving it away, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to get through all of this stuff and I rush, too much, right? Give yourself time. Deadlines are no fun,
Right.
but sometimes that's just the way it is, right?
Right.
So
That's how it goes. All right, so don't rush. It's not worth the effort. Also, before we continue on, I got 3 more points to make, maybe 4. Math is terrible. Have you hit the shared button yet? Have you shared this video?
did
Have
you like
subscribed
anything
on
that we've
YouTube?
said? Okay,
Are
great.
you giving me some more reacts? I love you guys. Thank you. Appreciate your interaction. Thank you so much. Number 7. Okay. I'll give it, this is a decent one, and I know you got some opinion. Just remember, we do have a time limit. Neglecting to check tension. Adjusting the tension on your sewing machine ensures smooth stitching and avoids puckering. Now, I'm going to say this. We've said it before. Don't be afraid to use your tension dial. If it wasn't supposed to use it, it shouldn't be accessible.
Right.
I'm going to say that. Now,
Mhm.
I know Danielle has some opinion on this conversation.
I
So
do.
here we go. Buckle up.
So it is frequently said to me, like, no, I'm not allowed to touch that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
But there are so many of the top of the line machines are auto set for tension.
Mm-hmm.
Let me explain though. It is auto set for that particular stitch that you have chosen. You've chosen to do a straight stitch. It's going to go to 4. It does not know that you are using denim and 3 layers of it.
Right.
And you know what it doesn't know that. So sometimes you personally are the sewist. This is the sewing machine. You have to tell the sewing machine what you want it to do. It doesn't know that you're using a thicker thread than you normally do, things like that. So I always test things and I look at that and I will make adjustments even on my auto set tension for my perfectly great machine. I'm like, no. Listen, you still want the stitches top and bottom to look good. Frequently, this step gets skipped because we were told never to touch that, and you maybe don't even realize that they don't look good.
Right.
So maybe you've been stitching with that machine for years. It has always looked that way. But one thing that I found is when you go and you go to press and you can see, you can pull and you now see those threads, anyway, I can't teach you how to set tension from here right now, but
No.
it should look like stitches on top. It should look like stitches on bottom. If you have a straight line anywhere on either side, something is not right. Now, what I do want to say is that a lot of times it is a threading error.
More often than not.
More often than not. And every one of you is coming back at me going, no, I know how to thread my machine. I threaded it. I understand, okay? But
They're angry faces now.
I know. There's so many angry faces. No. But frequently, we didn't get it through the tension disc, and you can't even really tell that until you start stitching, and you're like, something's not right. So if I have any tension issues, stop. I rethread the top. I rethread the bobbin. I make sure that I take it out. I put it back in.
Yep.
And a lot of times people are like, no, I did that. I already checked that. Okay, but just rethread it once for me.
Let's just start there.
And then if you do it again and you're like, nope, see, it's still terrible. Okay, what is going on? Have you decided to use a different thread that you're not used to? Are you putting this on a project that you're not used to?
Have you changed your needle? How long has it been?
Right.
They're not forever needles.
Right. Also, I don't, this is probably not in there. I am so tired of machine makers setting the presets for your stitch length at 2.5. No one should be piecing anything at 2.5. This is way too big. This is my opinion. I should start everything with this is my opinion.
Machines should be geared for quilters specifically.
They all should be geared
all
towards
the
me.
time.
Okay.
That sewing field, I don't care about that. We're in a quilting world, make them all.
Yes. And I do know, on mine, when I go to, instead of just adjusting my needle and doing things like that, if I go to the actual 1/4 inch piecing, I hit that button.
Yeah.
Then it goes, boop, 1.8, and your needle's moved here, and everyone's happy. I like 1.8. The next thing that people are yelling right now, are you yelling? Are you yelling right now? The next thing that people are yelling is, Yeah, that's all fine and good till you have to rip something out. I'll do a whole video on how to rip if you want me to, because
Let's do it.
it is much faster. And once you know how to rip fast without
We'll do a
tearing
video.
your thread
I have to make
or
it.
fabric,
Sadie,
without
make it. Oh, or Sadie.
Victoria, make a note.
Make
We'll
a
do
note.
a ripping video. Then once you see how easy it is to rip without ripping your fabric and quickly, you'll start stitching at 1.8. And when you have a 6.5-inch square that has 20 pieces in it and none of them are coming apart, you're going to be thanking me.
Right. And to that end, Jody made mention.
Did they all leave? Did they all leave?
Calm down, you're fine. Shortening up your stitch length, especially with paper piecing. Yes, very good note. If you are doing paper piecing, shorten that up. Basically, you're perforating that paper more, so it makes it tear off easier. So also then your stitches are closer together, which are really going to secure all that stuff together, which is nice. So,
sorry.
On that, I'm gonna add some things. You breathe for a second. I'm gonna add a couple things, and then we're gonna move on. Okay. When it comes to tension, your top tension is adjustable. You're accessible to it. Cool. If you have one of those sewing machines that has a drop-in bobbin case, yes, you do have a little screw there that you can adjust the tension on that if you wanted to, but please stop doing that.
Yeah.
Most of those drop-in cases are actually set from the manufacturer to a specific weight, ideal for whatever that is that you're doing. So you don't need to adjust that. Please don't do that.
Right. So because we learned a lot about different bobbin cases have different weights on them, and for reasons. Okay, I'll be quiet because you wanted to tell them.
I want to just get through this because we have so much more, and we are going to run out of time. But that's okay. We have 15 minutes still.
All right.
Hang in there with us, guys. If you have such as a long arm or one of those bobbin cases that have the adjustable dial on it, like those you can adjust, and I recommend that you do accordingly. Check your tension there. Once it's set and you're happy with it, any tension problems from there out will be your top thread, and adjust accordingly. As needed, be mindful, don't be afraid of it. It's all good, okay? Exactly. So, do not neglect your tension.
Right. Tension causes tension in Danielle.
Told you to buckle up. Okay. Now, those last couple, again.
I also just don't like machine repair dudes who say, don't touch anything. It is your machine, you can touch it.
You absolutely can.
Okay.
It's okay.
The auto tension, those things up top. Like, I wouldn't get into those drop-in bobbin. Like, you're
fine. Keep going. You're good.
I'm not saying Jason's giving you correct information, but when I get all these people who are like, no, I'm not allowed to touch that. I'm like, come on.
Fight the bull.
Let's do it.
She'll fight the power every time, guys. Trust me.
Is my face turning red now?
Yeah, you're getting worked up, baby. I love it.
Okay.
Okay, number 8. Using dull rotary blades. Replace your blades regularly to achieve clean cuts and precise piecing. Do not make me get safety, Jason. Stop it. Change the rotary blade. I know
you're sawing.
Don't saw your fabric.
First of all, are you trying to cut through 20 layers? Like, stop that.
It.
Okay. But, you can't get through 20 layers with a 45 mil blade.
No.
So don't do that.
Right tool for the job, guys.
Right.
Like, Dana's emotional about this, right? I know, and I love it. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So, but how many of us, I'm ready for hands to go up. How many of us, you change the blade and then you go, why didn't I do this last week?
All the time.
Okay.
It's like, oh, this is amazing.
It's like so much better.
So much better.
When I come into work, because I only come in on Saturdays since I'm still in school.
Yeah.
I can always tell when earlier in the week the blades
were changed.
Yeah.
You can tell. It's a notable difference in our shop. The whole atmosphere.
Everyone's
relaxes.
happy. We're like, we can cut easy. Yeah.
So you've got enough frustration reading the pattern, making sure you've cut straight, making sure things are where they're supposed to be, that your machine's threaded properly. Do not add the extra added effort of, oh my gosh, how many times do I have to go over this part right? Stop it. Take 20 seconds, swap your blade out, be safe. Okay?
Yep.
Cool. That was an easy one. I don't think we need to elaborate too much more on that. Change blades. All right. Number 9. This was an interesting one. Not testing quilting designs. Practice quilting motifs on scrap fabric before applying them to your quilt top to avoid unwanted results. This is a true statement as far as I'm concerned. not only for quilting, but for piecing. If you've never pieced a particular block before, it's going to be new to you. Remember all that scrap fabric you got from overestimating? Grab some of that and test make the block.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's such a good idea. I did not do that with this quilt that I'm cutting out.
Yeah.
It's like the first time. So I'm very nervous about that, but I'm like, it's fine. The pattern is a pattern writer that I know. It's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
I hope. Because I'm cutting everything out to make 36 blocks. And if it isn't right, it's going to be a big problem.
Right.
Since I have fabrics from A to M, some of them have F1 and F2.
There's subcuts and things.
There's a lot of things. Okay. Julie said, how many layers can you cut through? So I don't know.
It is a personal preference and what you're comfortable with.
So 6 to 8 is the most that I do.
And I like 4. I don't like to get. I'm sure I could go more.
And most people are like 4 is good. Stay with 4. And I that's what I would really tell people. It's mostly not because I can't cut through more. And you could definitely cut through more than 4, but staying with 4. If you mess up, you only messed up 4 pieces.
Right. Because the hazard you get, the more fabric you stack up, regardless of the ruler or device you're using, the higher it is. As you start pushing, that fabric is going to instinctually have this push distortion starts happening to it. So be mindful of that. The only thing I've run into that doesn't do that is the electric saw that we have for cutting like 40 layers of fabric.
It is not for accuracy.
It is not for accuracy. It is bulk cutting of just getting things cut down. So when you're going to new blade, back to that, just, whatever you're comfortable with that you don't feel you're getting as much.
Deanna's so smart. 2 to 4 layers max. That's it. And absolutely, like we were saying, you can absolutely cut through more than that. But I do a lot of 6 and 8s, but I've been doing it forever and ever.
So back to the not testing quilting designs. This was specifically speaking towards what you're going to quilt onto your quilt, which, again, if you are new to quilting and you're using digital patterns and you don't know how that's going to quilt out, throw a sample piece of fabric on there and stitch it out and see what you think. Because if you are halfway through this and you're really like, man, I really hate this, it's ugly, I should have tested this beforehand, there's nothing worse than ripping out a quilt that's got good stitches in it.
So we have, like when we first started, and I wasn't sure of how big a design should be, and on the screen, I could zoom in and it looks the same. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to tell how in relationship to how that quilt size was. So I would let it quilt for about 5 seconds worth of quilting. And I'd go, okay, do you like how big that is? I would do things like air stitch, like just stitch without a needle, or tell your machine to not actually stitch, but just to guide across there. So I could go, whoa, that's way too big. That's not going to be enough quilting. So I know that these things happen with new quilters, that you want to make sure that things are sized appropriately, and it's hard to tell that. So as you go along, you're not going to have to do those things as much anymore.
And it goes back to that rushing through the process. Take the time to pre-run all of this. Pre-piece a block. Make a block that's for demo to find out. Previously run your design. Make sure you're going to be okay with the way that stitches out. It's all time consuming, but for an end product that you're going to be happy with, part of it, make sure you do it. That whole common problem thing.
Yes.
All right, last but not least, number 10 of the most common quilting mistakes, skipping the final inspection. So thoroughly check your finished quilt for loose threads, missed stitches, and other imperfections before declaring it complete. We've all done it. We put it together. We've gone straight to the machine. We've sewn it together. We take it off because, my gosh, I'm finally done. You throw it on Facebook, and somebody's like, your block's upside down. They don't mean it from a place of negativity. Just, hey, that block's way wrong. Oh, no. So
yeah, so taking some steps along the way to take a picture, to look at it, to do all of those things, to make sure it's good all along the way, so that you're not all the way finished and something's wrong. Before anything comes off the frame, check, because really on a long arm, the front is going to look great almost always. and you roll it and you're like, what happened?
What
There's
happened
like,
to my bobbin?
yeah, something is bad and the tension, there was no tension at all. And so it just looks bad on the back. So before it even comes off the frame, because I don't want to reload it.
No.
I don't want to reload the quilt onto the frame. So we check, we roll it up, we look through all the stitches, make sure it's all good before it comes off the frame. So yes, but it is easy to rush through anything.
It is.
And,
So take the time, look at it. And honestly, sometimes it's actually better to throw it into a Facebook group like the Quilters Collective that we moderate. Put it out there. It's a lot easier to see a turned block when you have a picture and other people look at it so they can say, oh yeah, you might want to fix that one.
before it's quilted.
Before it's quilted.
So there is a quilt hanging in our classroom
There is.
that there is 2 blocks that are mixed up.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's mine, and it's quilted and bound and long
beautiful.
been hanging in the room.
It's gorgeous.
And I just, every time that I have a class, I wait for someone to tell me about it. And it just doesn't happen.
The fact of the matter, nobody really cares.
Until I
So it
go,
doesn't
hey,
matter.
there's a block in that quilt that's wrong. And then they go, really?
Well,
And nobody, it still takes
I'm
people.
going to tell you right now, that block was wrong it was probably the better part of a year before we even realized that's wrong.
I went, oh my gosh, what
So-
the heck? And no, I'm not taking it apart. Once it's done, you can't undo it. So
not
it's so
worth
much so much better to get it right before it gets done,
Mhm.
before it's bound.
Absolutely.
Now it's just too late,
Right. So take the time, go over your quilt one last time. The checking for open seams, super
Mhm.
important, because the last thing you want to do is have that quilt get caught on the quilting foot. That can be a real bad situation. So check all that stuff.
Yeah.
Super important.
And for me, binding, I'm done. I so want to get that over with, and I'm like going as fast as possible. But the binding gets touched and pulled on and tugged on, so you have to make sure that your binding is secure and over
Absolutely.
that you didn't miss. Sometimes those things happen, and it's better to take it out and get it right than.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, well, there you go. 10 most common mistakes, if you will,
Mhm.
made by quilters. You may agree with them. I don't know that I agree with all of them, but I think all of them are pretty solid.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I would give the artificial intelligence a 9 out of 10 on this one. I think they did all right.
Yeah.
If you have any more questions, you can always stop by and talk to us, ask us questions. Don't forget to come by and check out that M17. Get one of yours
So
today.
great.
Come check out the handy quilters. You need a long arm. You want to have it quilt for you and do all the work? Yeah, it's possible. We can do that.
Sure.
And
can.
next Saturday, show and tell. I am so excited. I want to see all the things.
Can't wait.
You working on a floral bouquet? You think it's glorious? Bring it in.
Bring it
Show
in.
it off.
We'd
People
love to
like
see it.
flowers around here. I don't really get it, but and no, you don't have to get on the TV. We have somebody that shows the stuff off for you, so no being on the video. It'll be just fine. All right. With that said, I think we're gonna go open the store at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah, good.
Victoria, are you good over there? Well then, folks, enjoyed you guys hanging out with us. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.